You walk into your gym on a Tuesday night. Every treadmill is full. The classes are packed. The parking lot is jammed. You leave thinking this place must be printing money. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Your gym isn't hoping you show up every night. It's counting on you not to. A packed gym isn't a good sign for the owner. It's a warning sign. If everyone who paid for a membership actually used it every day, the business would collapse under its own equipment costs within a year. The entire model depends on you paying full price and mostly staying home. That's not a cynical take. That's the balance sheet. So let's actually look at what it costs to own one of these places, what the real math looks like once the doors open, and the one number that quietly wrecks almost everyone who tries this. Start with the entry number, because it swings harder than almost any other small business you could pick. A small personal training studio can open for $30,000. A boutique class studio, the kind doing spin or yoga, usually land between $50,000 and $150,000. A full traditional gym with real strength equipment and a cardio floor runs somewhere between $100,000 and $500,000 once you count build-out, flooring, HVAC work, and the equipment itself. And if you want to go the franchise route with a recognized name like Anytime Fitness, you're looking at franchise fees, royalty payments, and mandated design standards that push total investment into the $113,000 to $440,000 range. Go bigger toward a Planet Fitness-style big box club, and you're now talking $1.3 to over $5 million once land, construction, and a full equipment floor factored in. That's a wide range, and it's wide on purpose. The gym industry doesn't have one price of entry. It has 5 or 6 completely different businesses wearing the same name. What they all share is this. Most of that money goes into 2 places: build-out and equipment. Cardio machines depreciate fast and need constant maintenance. Strength equipment holds up for 15 to 20 years if you buy it right. That single decision, cardio heavy versus strength heavy, quietly decides how much of your capital you're replacing every few years versus how much of it just sits there working for a decade. And the entry number isn't just one check you write. It's a chain of people you now answer to. There's the landlord, who wants a long-term lease with a tenant improvement allowance and an exclusive use clause so a competing studio can't move in next door. There's the equipment lender, usually financing 80 to 100% of the machines themselves, since the equipment secures its own loan. Terms typically run 5 to 10 years, matched to how long that gear is expected to last. There's your insurance broker, covering liability, property, and business interruption, because one bad fall on a treadmill can turn into a lawsuit that outweighs a slow month of dues. And if you went the franchise route, there's the franchisor itself, collecting that royalty check every month regardless of how your specific location is doing. None of these relationships show up in the glossy opening day photos. All of them show up on the profit and loss statement every single month for as long as you own the place. Franchising also splits the entry number into very different tiers, depending on the brand you pick. A boutique class concept, something built around one modality like cycling or strength circuits, can open for well under $150,000 with a smaller footprint and less equipment to finance. A mid-market brand balances equipment investment against membership capacity and lands somewhere in the middle of the range. Push toward the big box tier, a full-size access gym with a real cardio floor and locker rooms, and you're financing a business that behaves less like a small shop and more like a commercial real estate project with a fitness brand attached to it. Now here's where it gets real. The math that actually makes this business work. Say you charge $50 a month. Sign up 100 members, that's $5,000 a month. Get to 300 and you're at $15,000. Push to 600, a realistic ceiling for a mid-sized location, and you're sitting on $30,000 a month in recurring revenue, whether those 600 people walk through the door once a week or once a year. That's the entire appeal of the membership model. The invoice doesn't care about attendance. Your credit card gets charged automatically every single month until you remember to cancel it. Most people don't remember for a long time. That inertia is not an accident. It's the business. But 600 members doesn't happen on day one. Smart operators pre-sell before they even open. A well-run pre-sale campaign, using founder rate discounts of 20 to 30% off, typically lands 200 to 500 members before the doors are unlocked. That pre-sale revenue helps cover the last stretch of build-out costs, and it gives you your first real read on whether the location was priced right. Push the same math to a boutique concept instead, the kind built around one specialty class with premium pricing similar to what a brand like Orange Theory or Club Pilates runs. Charge $150 a month instead of $50, but cap your realistic membership base lower, since the room only holds so many people per class. 100 members at that rate is $15,000 a month. 200 is $30,000. You hit the same monthly revenue as the 600-member traditional gym, with a third of the members and a fraction of the equipment. That's the entire pitch behind the boutique model. Fewer people, higher price, smaller footprint, but every one of those members now matters 3 times as much if they leave. So the entry number gets you a building full of equipment or a smaller room full of class slots. The math that makes it work is stacking recurring monthly dues on top of that fixed asset until the volume outruns the overhead, whichever version of the model you picked. Straightforward on paper. The next part is where it stops being straightforward. What do you actually take home after all of that? Here's the honest version, not the brochure version. Industry-wide, gyms run profit margins of roughly 10 to 15%. Some boutique concepts push higher because they run lean, with less staff and less square footage per dollar of revenue. But start with your $30,000 a month in dues from that 600-member gym. Rent and utilities for a mid-sized space eat $25,000 to $45,000 a month on their own, depending on your market, before you've paid a single trainer. Payroll for front desk staff, cleaning, and at least one manager adds more. If you're a franchise, a royalty fee, typically 5 to 7% of gross sales, plus an advertising fund contribution around 2%, comes off the top before you see a cent. Add insurance, equipment maintenance, and loan payments on whatever you finance to open the place, and that $30,000 top line starts shrinking fast. Realistically, on a well-run, mid-sized independent gym, you're looking at net margins in that 10 to 15% range once everything is accounted for. On $30,000 in monthly revenue, that's $3,000 to $4,500 a month in actual owner profit, not the number on a membership dashboard, the number that's actually yours. Most gyms don't hit break, even for 12 to 24 months. Some boutique franchise concepts with strong pre-sales get there in 18 to 36 months. This is not a business where you recoup your entry number in year 1. It's a business where you're financing a slow climb, and the equipment loan, the lease, and the payroll all keep running whether that climb is going well or not. That's the take-home. Modest margins, sitting on top of a large fixed investment, with a break-even point measured in years, not months. And that margin isn't static. It moves with a metric almost nobody outside the industry has heard of. Recurring monthly revenue as a share of total revenue. Push that above 70%, meaning most of what you make comes from automatic dues rather than one-off personal training packages or day passes, and buyers and lenders alike treat your business as dramatically more valuable and more stable. Fall below that, and you're not really running a membership business anymore. You're running an unpredictable service shop that happens to have some gym equipment in it. That distinction matters even if you never plan to sell. A gym built primarily on recurring dues can weather a bad month. A gym leaning on walk-and-day passes and one-off sessions gets hit immediately when foot traffic dips because there's no automatic charge cushioning the blow. Which brings us to the thing that actually wrecks most people who try this. And it isn't the rent, and it isn't the equipment. It's churn. Picture your 600-member gym again. Industry average monthly churn sits between 7 and 10%. Your target, if you're running things well, should be 3 to 5%. Let's use 8% because that's the honest average, not the optimistic pitch deck number. 8% of 600 members is 48 people. 48 members canceling every single month. Not once, every month, forever, for as long as you own the place. That means you don't just need to hold 600 members. You need to replace 48 of them every 30 days just to stay flat. Acquiring a new member typically costs $50 to $100 once you count marketing and any sign-up promotion. 48 new members a month at that cost is $2,400 to $4,800 a month spent purely to replace people who left, money that never shows up as growth because it's just patching a hole. Miss that number for 2 or 3 months in a row, maybe because a competitor opened down the street or your instructor left, and your 600 members quietly becomes 530. Your $30,000 top line becomes $26,500. Your already thin margin doesn't shrink a little. It disappears. This is why 81% of independent gyms that fail don't fail because of a bad workout floor or ugly equipment. They fail because of location mistakes and undercapitalization colliding with churn they never modeled correctly. They budgeted for the building. They didn't budget for the leak. Talk to almost anyone who's actually run one of these places, and churn stops being an abstract percentage and starts having a face. Marcus, who managed a mid-sized independent gym for 6 years, put it simply, the members he worried about weren't the ones complaining about the equipment. They were the quiet ones, the ones who stopped showing up in January and just never mentioned it, because by the time their card got declined in March, they'd already mentally left 2 months earlier. Retention, in his experience, wasn't one in the gym. It was one in the 3 or 4 texts and emails nobody sees, checking in on someone before they've consciously decided to quit. The membership contract structure matters here more than most new owners expect. Month-to-month members, the no-contract model that brands like Workout Anytime built their whole pitch around, pay 15 to 25% more per month than annual members, but they churn up to 40% faster. Annual contracts lock in more stable revenue, but require far more customer service to prevent early cancellations and chargebacks. Most experienced operators land on a mix around 60% annual, 40% month-to-month, deliberately trading a little bit of pricing power for a lot more predictability. That single ratio, decided before you ever open the doors, determines how violently your revenue swings when a competitor undercuts you or a slow season hits. Here's the counterintuitive part almost nobody expects walking in. The gym that looks empty at 2 in the afternoon and full at 6 in the evening isn't underperforming. That's the model working exactly as designed. Real estate and equipment sit idle most of the day, and the business survives entirely on the gap between how many people pay and how many people actually use what they paid for. Try to close that gap. Get every single paying member showing up constantly. And you need triple the equipment and triple the floor space to avoid a mob at the squat rack every night. Ironically, a gym owner's nightmare isn't empty machines. It's a membership base that suddenly decides to get serious all at once. If you're seriously looking into this, here's one concrete thing worth doing before anything else. Pull the churn and retention numbers on a few real, publicly discussed gym sales in your target market. Brokers who sell fitness businesses often publish member count, monthly recurring revenue, and churn rate as part of the listing. Compare that real churn number against the location's advertised member density within a 12-minute drive radius, which matters more to long-term survival than almost anything else you'll look at. If a listing won't show you churn, that's the whole story right there. So you walk back into that packed gym on a Tuesday night. The treadmills are full, the classes are loud, the parking lot has no spaces left. It looks like the business is thriving. It's not the full room that's keeping the lights on. It's the empty ones, the 600 members who paid this month and never showed up at all.